The morning sun rose gently over Los Angeles International Airport, painting the horizon in golden streaks as Flight 739 prepared for takeoff. Inside the bustling terminal, Jack Turner clutched his daughter Lily's small hand. He was a janitor at the same airport, working endless night shifts just to keep their tiny apartment running. This flight wasn't just a trip, it was a promise. A promise to show Lily her late mother's hometown, the place where love once felt eternal before life had ripped it away. The plane shimmered under the morning light, a massive silver bird humming with power and destiny. Captain Amelia Brooks, 34, adjusted her uniform collar inside the cockpit. Her co-pilot, Maya Ruiz, 29, smiled as she checked the controls, their voices calm, practiced, professional. "Smooth skies today," Amelia murmured, though her face looked pale. She hadn't slept well. Strange headaches had been haunting her for days, but she pushed it aside. Duty came first. As passengers settled in, Jack guided Lily to their seats in economy. She pressed her nose against the window, excitement glowing in her blue eyes. "Daddy, we're flying so high," she whispered. Jack smiled faintly, though something about the flight felt different. He couldn't explain it. Maybe it was just nerves. He wasn't used to being a passenger. Usually he just cleaned the planes after everyone was gone. Minutes later, the engines roared. The plane lifted gracefully into the air, slicing through clouds like a dream-taking flight. Lily giggled as her ears popped, and Jack couldn't help but feel proud. For the first time in years, he felt like he was giving her something beautiful. But high in the sky, serenity began to fade. The soft hum of the cabin grew uneven, a faint flicker of the overhead lights casting shadows across uneasy faces. Amelia blinked twice, gripping the yoke tighter. Her vision blurred for a moment. "Maya, you feel that?" she muttered, her voice faint. Maya nodded weakly, sweat forming on her brow. "Oxygen levels dropping?" she gasped, reaching for the switch. In seconds, their movements slowed as if time itself thickened. The radio crackled. Buttons flashed red. Amelia's hand froze mid-air before her eyes rolled back, her body slumping forward against the controls. Maya tried to call for help, but her voice vanished into silence as she collapsed beside her. The aircraft dipped slightly, turbulence shaking the aisles. Gasps filled the cabin. Drinks spilled, children cried. Flight attendants ran toward the cockpit, banging on the locked door, shouting the captain's name. The seatbelt sign flashed like a warning heartbeat. Jack felt his chest tighten. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. He turned to comfort Lily, but his gaze caught a glimpse of the cockpit door, slightly ajar, a flashing red light glowing from inside. His instincts screamed. He unbuckled his seatbelt as passengers panicked around him. Jack's breath caught the moment he stepped inside the cockpit. The lights were flashing violently red, alarms howling like a storm trapped in metal walls. Both pilots lay motionless. Captain Amelia slumped over the controls, her headset dangling, and co-pilot Maya sprawled against the side panel, pale as ghosts. The plane tilted slightly to the left, a low mechanical groan echoing through the cabin. For a split second, Jack froze. Every instinct screamed to run back to his seat to hold his daughter and pray. But when he turned, he saw Lily's terrified face peeking from behind the curtain, her tiny hands clutching her seatbelt. That single look snapped something inside him. Fear turned to fire. He rushed forward, pulling Amelia's body away from the controls. "Come on, wake up, please," he shouted, shaking her shoulder. Nothing. He checked her pulse, faint. But there, the oxygen masks hung loosely from above, useless. His eyes darted across the instrument panel. Blinking symbols he didn't understand, except one. Altitude warning. The aircraft was losing height. He gripped the control stick with trembling hands. His mind raced back years. Late nights with his wife, Sarah, who had been a flight instructor before the accident that took her life. He remembered her laughter, her hands guiding his across a simulator's controls.
"You never know, Jack," she used to say.
One day, even knowing the basics could save you. Now those words felt like prophecy. Jack pressed the intercom button, his voice breaking. "If anyone can hear me, both pilots are down." I don't know what to do," static crackled. Then a calm yet startled voice replied, "This is ground control. Identify yourself, sir." Jack swallowed hard, glancing at the unconscious women beside him. "My name's Jack Turner. I'm just a janitor. But the pilots, they're not moving. The plane's in trouble." There was a long pause. Then came the reply, softer, steadier. "All right, Jack, listen carefully. We're going to help you fly this plane." He exhaled shakily, gripping the yoke tighter. "You gotta be kidding me," he whispered under his breath, eyes flicking between gauges and switches he barely recognized. The ground controller's voice guided him step by step. "Keep the wings level." "That's it. Good, Jack, you're doing great." Every instruction was a lifeline, every second a battle against panic. The passengers screamed behind the locked door, some praying aloud, others frozen in terror. Jack focused on the small window ahead, endless blue stretching to infinity. Sweat rolled down his temple as he steadied the aircraft, the engines humming back to rhythm. Okay, I can do this," he whispered, though his hands shook uncontrollably. He risked one last glance back through the cockpit door. Lily was watching, tears in her eyes, whispering something he couldn't hear. But her lips formed 3 words he'd never forget. "You got this." The voice from ground control echoed through Jack's trembling hands as he gripped the controls tighter. "Maintain altitude, Jack. Steady at 30,000 feet. He nodded instinctively, sweat dripping from his forehead, though no one could see him. The hum of the engines grew louder, the plane vibrating like a wounded beast. Every light on the panel seemed to flash with urgency, demanding answers he didn't have. Behind him, muffled cries filled the cabin. Flight attendants pounded on the door, their voices cracking in fear. Jack's mind raced through fragments of memory, Sarah's voice guiding him, her laughter when he'd clumsily tried to fly her simulator years ago. "You've got instincts, Jack. Planes respond to courage more than fear." He wished she were here. He wished she could see him now. But there was no time for wishing. The passengers' lives depended on him. "Ground control, what do I do next?" he shouted into the radio. The voice came back sharp but calm. "You're doing fine. Keep her level. Check the autopilot system. Can you re-engage it?" Jack scanned the buttons until he found the switch. He flipped it, but nothing happened. "It's not responding," he said through gritted teeth. A short silence. Then, "Jack, listen to me carefully. You're flying manually now. Focus on keeping the plane steady until we can reroute assistance." Lily's voice suddenly pierced through the noise. "Daddy!" she cried from the cabin. Jack turned, just for a moment. Her small face was pale, eyes glistening with tears. "It's okay, baby," he said, forcing a smile that trembled at the edges. "I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." But his reassurance was a lie even he didn't believe, because as the plane steadied, another alarm screamed. Cabin pressure low. Oxygen masks dropped from above like lifelines from heaven. Flight attendants shouted instructions, chaos erupting again. Jack yanked his own mask down and pulled it over his mouth, gasping. He realized with horror what must have happened. The same oxygen failure that took out the pilots was now spreading through the cabin. "Ground control. The passengers. People are fainting," he yelled. The voice on the radio grew frantic. "Jack, the oxygen system's compromised. You need to manually switch to emergency backup. Look for the blue valve under the left panel." He crouched, searching, the plane tilting as he struggled to keep balance. His vision blurred. A dull ringing filled his ears. He fought to stay conscious as his fingers fumbled for the valve. Come on. He found it, twisted hard, and a hiss of air filled the cockpit. His lungs expanded again. He ripped the mask from Amelia's face and placed it on Lily's small hands. When she rushed in crying, "Keep it on, sweetheart," he whispered weakly. Through half-shut eyes, he saw the horizon blur. The clouds outside shimmered like ghosts. He wasn't just fighting a machine anymore. He was fighting time, fate, and the creeping darkness closing in around them. Jack's heartbeat pounded, like a drum inside his chest as he tried to steady the aircraft. The faint hiss of oxygen filled the cockpit, buying him a few precious minutes of breath. He looked over at Captain Amelia and co-pilot Maya, still unconscious, their faces ghostly pale under the flickering red lights. "Hang in there," he muttered. "I'm not letting anyone die today." His voice cracked. But his resolve didn't. The radio crackled again. "Jack, this is Control. Oxygen levels have stabilized. You're doing great. We're tracking your flight now." He nodded, barely able to focus. "Just tell me how to keep this thing in the air," he rasped, gripping the yoke tighter. "Maintain heading northeast, avoid descent. Help is on the way." But even as the calm voice guided him, something gnawed at the back of Jack's mind. None of this felt like an accident. He replayed the moment the oxygen failed. The strange timing, the flickering systems, the way both pilots went down within seconds. It didn't feel like mechanical failure, it felt deliberate. A faint rustling from behind the cockpit made him tense. He turned and saw a man standing near the curtain that separated business class. The passenger's movements were strange, nervous, jittery. His eyes darted toward the cockpit, then away. Jack frowned. He unbuckled his harness, switched on autopilot, and slowly stepped out. "Sir, you need to return to your seat," Jack said, trying to keep his tone calm. The man flinched, his hand slipping inside his jacket. Jack's stomach twisted. "Hey, what are you doing?" Before he could move, the man lunged forward, knocking Jack backward against a seat. In his hand glinted a small metallic syringe. Jack struggled, grabbing the man's wrist. The syringe clattered to the floor, rolling under a row of seats. Passengers screamed as the two men grappled in the narrow aisle. "You did this," Jack snarled. "You're the reason those pilots are down." The man grinned through clenched teeth. "You weren't supposed to be in that cockpit." "Janitor," he hissed, slamming his elbow into Jack's ribs. "No one was supposed to survive this flight." Jack's mind spun. Sabotage. It wasn't a malfunction. It was murder. Rage fueled him. He swung hard, his fist connecting with the man's jaw. The saboteur stumbled, tried to reach for his jacket again. But Jack grabbed the fire extinguisher from the wall and struck him across the shoulder. The man collapsed instantly, motionless. Panting, Jack kicked the syringe away and grabbed the man's ID badge. No name, just a symbol of a private security firm. Whatever this was, it ran deeper than one man. He rushed back to the cockpit, slamming the door shut behind him, his lungs burning. The control tower's voice broke through the static. "Jack, we just received a warning. That flight might have been targeted. You need to get that plane down, fast." Dark clouds gathered ahead like a wall of doom as Jack stared out the cockpit window. The sunlight was gone, replaced by the rolling black of a storm that stretched for miles. His knuckles turned white against the controls, the tremor of turbulence shaking the plane harder with every passing second. Behind him, the faint cries of passengers mixed with the moan of the engines. He knew they were running out of time. Fuel was low, systems were failing, and fear was spreading like wildfire through the cabin. Ground control's voice came through the radio again, crackling with static. "Jack, we've located a runway, 200 miles northeast. You'll have to make it through the storm. Do not lose altitude." Jack stared at the navigation screen. The distance looked impossible. 200 miles in this storm? He muttered. "You people trying to kill us faster?" "Jack, it's your only chance. Trust your instincts. You've done this much. Keep going." Lightning flashed outside, so bright it lit the cockpit like a flashbulb. The sound followed, a deafening crack that made Lily scream from the cabin. Jack turned for just a second, meeting her terrified eyes. "It's okay, baby," he said softly, though his voice trembled. "We're gonna get through this. I promise." He could hear Sarah's voice in his head again, gentle and steady. "When the sky turns against you, remember it's not the plane that flies, it's the person behind it." Those words anchored him as he fought the stick, keeping the nose level while the storm tried to tear the aircraft apart. "Jack," ground control said again, "we're patching in an ex-pilot." "Who can help you?" A new voice came through the line, older, calm, familiar. "Jack, it's Tom Harris." Sarah's old flight partner. Jack's heart skipped. "Tom?" "Yeah, buddy. You can do this. Sarah always said you had guts. I'm gonna walk you through the descent, all right? Just breathe." Thunder exploded outside as the plane jolted violently. "I'm breathing," Jack growled. "Barely." "Okay, focus on your instruments. You've got crosswinds from the west. Compensate 5 degrees left. Don't fight the storm, guide through it." Jack followed every word, sweat dripping down his neck. The plane shuddered, dipped, then steadied. Hope flickered for the first time. But it was short-lived. One of the warning lights began to flash. The left engine was failing. A sharp boom rocked the plane and flames licked the side of the wing. Lily screamed again as smoke began to seep into the cabin. "Engine 2's out," Jack shouted. "Keep your altitude." "Do not panic," Tom barked through the radio. "You've got one engine left. You can still land her." Jack's voice broke. "If I get us down alive, I swear I'll never doubt her again." He could see it now, the faint glow of runway lights cutting through the stormy dark. It was their only chance, but they were coming in too fast. The ground rising fast beneath them. The storm roared. The burning wing lit up the night sky like a comet as Flight 739 roared through the storm, every second pulling it closer to life or death. Jack could barely see through the cracked windshield. The rain was coming, down in furious sheets. lightning flashing so close it felt like the heavens were tearing apart. The alarms blared so loud they blended into one endless scream. Smoke curled through the cockpit, thick and choking. But Jack refused to let go of the controls. His arms trembled, his breath came in sharp gasps. But his eyes stayed locked on the runway lights flickering, in the distance like fading stars. "Jack, listen to me!" Tom's voice shouted through the radio. "Your left engine's gone, but you can still glide her in." "Lower your speed. Deploy the landing gear now." Jack flipped the switch, but the response was violent, a loud clank, followed by grinding metal. "It's jammed," he yelled, panic finally breaking through his voice. "The gear's not coming down." "Then you'll have to do a belly landing," Tom ordered firmly. "Keep her nose up, keep the angle shallow. You've got one shot at this, Jack." He wiped the sweat and smoke from his eyes, his mind racing. The thought of Lily's face flashed before him, her small hands clutching the oxygen mask, her tearful whisper, "You got this." Daddy, he couldn't fail her, not now, not when he'd already come this far. He took a deep breath, gripping the controls so tight his knuckles turned white. "All right, sweetheart," he muttered to the plane. "Let's go home." As the ground came rushing up, the entire cabin filled with screams. Passengers clung to each other, praying, crying, whispering their last words. The plane jolted violently as Jack fought to stabilize it. "Hold together!" he roared. The right engine sputtered and coughed, the flames on the left wing spreading across the metal like hungry claws. The first impact hit like thunder, the belly of the plane scraping against the runway, sparks bursting into fiery trails. The force threw Jack forward, his head snapping back as the seatbelt cut into his chest. The second impact sent a wave of smoke and sparks through the cabin. Metal screamed, tires burst, wings tore. But the plane didn't break apart. It skidded, spun, and finally came to a grinding, shuddering stop halfway down the runway. The world fell silent. Only the soft crackle of burning fuel filled the air. For a moment, Jack didn't move. His hands still clutched the controls, shaking violently. Then he heard it, a faint whimper. Lily's voice. "Daddy?" He turned, tears spilling down his face. "I'm here, baby. I'm here." He unbuckled himself and stumbled into the cabin. Smoke hung thick, passengers dazed but alive. Emergency crews rushed toward the wreckage, lights flashing blue and red across the rain-soaked tarmac. Jack carried Lily out into the storm, her arms wrapped tightly around his neck.